It's been too long since this hall actually had some noise in it. Players have accomplished a lot since we first dropped our plots. We've raised castles from the dirt, mapped the provinces, mastered the crafting trees, and held our own in the dungeons. Mainframe has been making some serious moves behind the scenes. And before I map out our next strategic pivot, I need to get the gang together. I need Quillian, Robin, Eva, and Betty. Winston, get in here, buddy. I've got some high-priority dispatches for you. Tell the crew to drop what they're doing. Tell them to meet at the Pax Dei. We're heading to the Gilded Cask.
Careful near the velvet, Winston. What does MM want now?
A summons from MM. Thank you for finding me, Winston.
Hey, buddy! MM calling a war council! Count me in!
Winston, keep those paws off the bar, honey. What did MM send?
Welcome back to Pax Dei XM, the only place on the internet serving up the brutal truth of game development with a side of actual strategy. Mainframe just dropped their massive quality of life updates, and I'm going to play devil's advocate right out of the gate. Mainframe is doing some serious heavy lifting. Stack sizes are bigger, gatherables are finally visible in the brush, and we are no longer playing endless Tetris with our backpacks. But folks, while technical polish is necessary, it is a stabilizing force. It is not an expansion of the gameplay loop. To help me break down the actual sustainability crisis of this game, I'm joined by my squad, Sir Robin the Lootless, Quillian Fair Trade, Eva, our resident historian, and, making her very first appearance on the podcast after her debut in our last lore video, please welcome the finest tavern owner in the home valleys, Betty Brewington.
Thanks, MM. Honestly, I'm just happy to be out of the kitchen for an hour. I'll tell you, the update is nice, but I have cooked 14,000 slightly larger mushrooms this week. If I have to stare at another piece of stewed fungus, I am organising a server-wide tavern strike. I swear it.
Hey, those mushrooms keep me swinging, Betty! Keep 'em coming!
Robin, you have no idea the logistical nightmare going on behind the scenes. Do you know the sheer physical toll required to spin 10,000 reels of coarse thread? Before this update, I didn't feel like a master tailor. I felt like a medieval sweatshop employee. The crafting rebalance is a godsend. Mainframe actually listened.
Exactly, which is why we give Mainframe credit. They are actively trying to respect our time. But Quillian, you've been vocal in Discord all week. What is the glaring issue with crafting right now?
Visual progression, or rather, the complete lack of it. Look, if a blacksmith spends 200 hours at a forge, or I spend weeks at the loom crafting Tier 4 gear, we shouldn't look exactly the same as the guy who just spawned in and put on basic Tier 1 armor.
He's right. You walk into town, and you literally cannot tell who the veterans are. If you've seen one cleric's cap of absolution, you've seen them all.
Thank you. Look at the plate armor inside the game right now. The Herald's helm, the Ironside's greaves, the Pilgrim's breastplate. From Tier 1 all the way to Tier 4, the 3D model is exactly the same. It is the exact same physical shape. The only difference is progressively darker shades of grey and a slightly different shine. Inside the game's lighting, it is almost visually imperceptible. It's incredibly demotivating to grind to Tier 4 just to look like a Tier 1 noob with better polish. And since there's no inspect feature, nobody even knows the work you put in.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is the medieval warfare getting in the way of your fashion show, Quillian?
It's about prestige, Robin. Mainframe needs to add a dye system right now. We need a mortar and pestle crafting station. But here is the catch. It can't just be one magic dye that colors everything. For metal armors and weapons, we need to take all those useless gemstones cluttering our chests and grind them down into gemstone dust. I want to infuse topaz dust into the forge for blue plate armor, citrine dust for gold.
Oh, and for the cloth and leather, that's where my side of the economy comes in. We shouldn't use gemstones for shirts. We use the organics. Berries, flowers, and certain plants that players just leave rotting in the woods. I could grind down strawberries and rose hips to dye Quillian's tailored cloaks crimson red.
Exactly. Every item gets a purpose. But strategically, Quillian, you pitched something brilliant about how this dye is applied. You can't just let anyone splash color on basic gear.
Right. The color should only apply if it is a mastercraft. In Pax Dei, crafting difficulty goes from very hard to hard, moderate, easy, until you finally get the star, where it basically won't fail. But beyond that is the crown. When a recipe hits crown, you have mastered it. If I want to make a gold-plated chest piece, I add the citrine gemstone dust into the crafting menu. But the armor only takes the color if I hit a perfect craft, if I've mastered the recipe. It proves to the whole server that the person wearing that colored armor didn't just buy a bucket of paint, they were geared by an absolute master.
And let's look at how that ties into the broader economy in the map. A mortar and pestle station shouldn't just be something you carry in your pocket. You have to physically build it on your plot, or on a clan's plot.
Which forces you to actually care about your land.
Exactly, Eva. If you want to be a master dyer, you need a plot of land with a mortar and pestle station. This gives massive tangible value to owning a plot.
Okay, fine. Quillian gets to be a fashion icon. But what about the actual gear design? Even if you dye a Tier 4 chest piece gold, it still has the exact same physical shape as a Tier 1 iron chest piece. I want to look intimidating.
Robin is absolutely right. Mainframe, we need a hard visual split between standard crafted gear and relic gear. Standard crafted gear is made from stuff you just hit with a pickaxe, basic iron, copper, steel. But if a clan goes out and hunts down a named NPC, and Robin loots a rare sigil to use in that armor recipe, that gear should look completely, fundamentally different from standard gear, even without the dye.
Yes! If I risk my neck to kill a named boss to get a sigil, I want to walk back into town wearing armor that makes people cross the street.
And that visual distinction creates the ultimate endgame chase. But guys, let's zoom out to the broader map, because looking like an elite knight doesn't matter if nobody is around to see you. Zoom out of the home valleys right now, and what do you see? Red plots, everywhere.
It's a foreclosure crisis. The home valleys are becoming ghost towns. I ran through 3 provinces yesterday and saw maybe 2 people. And honestly, the world feels empty because it's entirely too vast. You could literally be in the exact same area as someone else and never cross paths.
Right. And let's be entirely accurate about the mechanics here, because I see people on the forums getting confused. It is a 72-hour plot freeze. When a player's subscription ends or they don't sign in to pay their grace, the plot goes red. It's frozen. You can't build on it. Mainframe gives you 72 hours to fix it, either by renewing your sub, getting plot tokens, or paying your 400 grace. After those 72 hours, your items go into a redemption queue, and the plot is wiped entirely. Now, Mainframe is trying to fix player retention with a comfort and rest system, giving us buffs for having a cozy fire and a good bed. But Betty, you run a tavern. You talk to everyone. Is a cozy fire the real issue here?
Tired of empty servers and dying entirely alone?
Stop playing solo. Join the massive order. We're active, growing, and our custom website gamifies your grind. Earn points, level up your rank, and unlock badges for dungeon crawls and quests.
Wait, I get a badge?
TheMassiveOrder.com. Join today.
Not even close, People aren't losing their plots because they forgot to hit auto-renew. They're losing their plots because they lost interest. A cozy fire buff won't make someone swipe their credit card if the game itself is boring them to tears. They do the stick house and quit routine. They build a box, realise the world feels empty, and they leave.
Which brings us to a massive structural failure in the new player experience. Pax Dei is a social sandbox. The community is the content. If a new player does not immediately engage with other people who are online, they churn. Mainframe needs to completely overhaul the clan onboarding process right out of the gate.
How? Because right now, joining a clan feels like a total shot in the dark.
We need an activity-based clan finder built directly into the tutorial. Very early into the game, when a new player drops their first plot, a UI prompt needs to appear suggesting local clans. But here's the critical filter. It should only suggest clans that are located in their specific home valley and who have had members log in within the last 48 hours.
Oh, so you aren't sending applications out into the void to dead clans?
Right. When you request to join, you are requesting to join a clan where actual breathing humans are currently playing the game. Force the social connection.
And you have to force that connection, because if you don't, the game drives solo players insane. Maybe if they actually had an active clan to play with, or something to fight, they wouldn't just build a stick house and quit. I am a mercenary. I log in to bathe in the blood of the Inquisition. But this game forces me, as a solo player, to be a blacksmith, a leather worker, an armor smith, a tailor, a carpenter, an alchemist, a cook, and a brewer.
He's actually right, because all of the professions are deeply interlinked.
Exactly! I want to make a decent tailored tunic. But wait, as a tailor, I suddenly need buttons and straps. So now I have to stop what I'm doing and go level leatherworking. Oh, but the leatherworker recipe requires metal buckles, so now I have to spend 3 days hitting rocks to level blacksmithing.
You get trapped in a crafting web.
It's a nightmare! If you are playing alone, you are forced to be a jack of all trades. You have to do everything yourself, which means your progression slows to an absolute crawl. It is extremely time-consuming. You get nowhere, and that is why people quit. And on top of that, when I do finally go out to fight something, I spend an hour clearing out Inquisitor camps. And what does the boss drop? Cloth, a piece of leather, maybe an iron ingot. They drop absolutely zero usable gear. Why can't I pick up the Inquisitor's weapon?
Because if monsters drop wearable gear, you completely bypass the crafting economy, Robin. Why would anyone buy my tailored armor if you just pick it up off the floor for free?
I don't care about your economy, Quillian. I shouldn't have to chop wood and master 8 different professions for 3 days just to get a decent shield.
Gentlemen, level heads, there is a strategic compromise here. Robin, you should get wearable loot from humanoid mobs. It feels terrible to kill a boss and get pocket lint, but to protect Quillian's economy, that looted gear must be non-repairable.
Wait, so it breaks? It permanently breaks?
Exactly. Robin gets a looted sword. It gives him an immediate dopamine hit, but it degrades and you cannot repair it. So what does Robin do? He takes the gold he looted, walks back to the village, and buys your master-crafted, repairable gear.
So, I get to fight, and Quillian still gets paid.
I actually love that. It turns you into a raw material generator for my shop.
Okay, but who are you fighting, Robin? Mainframe wants the map to be meaningful, but right now, the world is a static museum. We need roaming Inquisition platoons, marching through the wildlands.
Are you crazy? If there are roaming death squads, my cross-map supply runs are doomed. It takes me 40 minutes just to run to the cotton fields.
Which is exactly why Mainframe needs to introduce the carrier fox. Let's say Quillian is deep in a specific biome, harvesting cotton. You don't want to hike 40 minutes back to town. You summon your tamed carrier fox, load it with cotton, and send it back to your Petra Day.
Right, but it can't be instantaneous or people will just spam it.
Exactly. The fox takes actual time to travel across the map, and it can only deposit items if you have open slots in your home Petra Day storage. It's a gold sink that saves you from the endless cross-map marathon.
Wait, if Quillian sends a fluffy little fox full of mornwood running through the PvP zone, can I shoot it?
Robin, no, you savage.
Yes, Robin, you can shoot it.
Oh, I am going to be a fox sniper.
But guys, a fox only solves the logistics of materials. It does not solve the #1 requested feature in the game right now. Personal travel time. We are running across this humongous world entirely on foot.
She's right. If you gave players the ability to traverse the land quickly, that alone would draw so many people back to the game.
Mounts. We are talking about mounts. It is absolutely critical. But from a game design standpoint, you cannot just hand everyone a generic horse in the starting zone.
No, you tie it to exploration. You force players to travel to specific provinces and specific biomes within those provinces to find different breeds.
Oh, I like that. So, depending on what you need, you hunt down a different mount. Maybe I go to the scrublands to find a sturdy draft horse. It moves a little slower, but it gives me massive additional storage capacity for my supply runs.
And I want an agile horse from the mountains. Something with high stamina that can sprint over rocky terrain and get me into a fight fast. Or a purebred racing horse that is lightning fast but carries absolutely zero cargo.
And do you realise what this does? By introducing taming, we introduce a massive new profession into the game: animal husbandry. Tamers will now travel the world, find these different types of horses, bring them back and breed them.
Spot on, Betty. Let's look at the business model. How does Mainframe make money? Subscriptions and plot purchases. If you want a carrier fox, or if you want a mount, you should have to take up the taming profession. And the only way you can do that is by building a taming pen or a stable. And a stable must be placed on a plot.
So if you want a horse, you need land.
Exactly. It makes the plot infinitely more valuable. People are not going to let their subscriptions lapse and their plots turn red if they have a fully functioning stable filled with rare, crossbred mountain horses parked in their yard. You want a massive breeding operation? You will naturally buy an extra plot. It generates income for Mainframe organically, and it grounds players deeply into the world.
Well, speaking of the PvP zone, can we talk about the absolute worst idea Mainframe is pushing right now? Redistributing basic node resources like tin and copper into the PvP zone. Look, if you put all the high-end rare resources like ambergrasp and the basic survival metals into the PvP zone, the hardcore PvP megaclans will never, ever leave. They won't need anything from the outside world.
And the home valleys will completely die. Nobody will come to my tavern.
You have to force the trade. The PvP zone should only contain rare, high-tier resources. Force the PvP warlords to run vulnerable caravans back to the home valleys to buy Quillian's repairable master-crafted swords and Betty's high-tier food. Let the PvE farmers get rich supplying the PvP mercenaries. Quality of life updates keep the server stable, Mainframe, but interconnected gameplay loops put players in the seats. We need temporary loot for fighters, strict visual prestige and dye mastery for crafters, carrier foxes and varied mounts for logistics, active clan onboarding, and an economy that forces us to interact. But that's just our strategic assessment. This time, we want your voices in the comments. Do you agree with Robin that combat needs wearable loot? Do you want Quillian's Gemstone Dye system for master-crafted gear? Or are you with Eva and Betty, begging for active local clans, cross-breedable mounts, and snipeable carrier foxes? Drop a comment below and tell us what we need to cover next. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and keep the feedback brutal, honest, and loud. For Sir Robin, Quillian, Eva, and Betty Brewington, I'm massively mastered. We will see you in the province.
Pax Dei